And welcome back to the Weiss Schwarz BCS 24-25 World Finals. I'm Randall, aka Shizakats.
And my name is Ian.
And we are about to hop into top 8. So I'm really excited to see what our top 8 players for this year are capable of. How's our deck distribution going? We have a lot of variety in the top 8, but also we did have quite a bit of variety, it seems, throughout the games of the day.
Yeah, so in the end, I believe there's 2 Rascal Does Not Dream of Monocle Senpai in top 8, followed by 2 Quints. And then there's a couple of other one-offs in Nikkei, 7 Deadly Sins, Macros Delta, and Bocchi the Rock. So it's actually quite varied.
Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, some of the players that we're going to be seeing throughout the day, or some of the players that we have seen throughout the day are going to be making their return in some of our stream games, potentially.
Yeah, we've actually seen 6 of the players that made top 8 today on stream, so I guess it's like a little bit of a blessing to be on stream.
Yeah, I guess like normally we talk about the stream curse, but I guess this time it was the opposite. Before we get into the game, we do have our meta deck now, or like our deck distribution, I guess, for the day. So we did see a majority of the players today using Rascal Does Not Dream series with that brand new support from set 3, 17 out of a total of 60 players.
Yeah, out of the 17, only 2 managed to convert to top 8. For that time I got reincarnated as a slime. That was the second most represented with 7 players, and none of them made it into top 8, unfortunately.
Unfortunate. And we have both Goddess of Victory, Nikkei, and Quintessential Quintuplets at 6 players apiece. And we do have a couple of those in our top 8 cut. So
yes, we have 1 Nikkei and 2 Quintessential Quintuplets. Let's take a quick look at the top 8 bracket.
So some of these names are definitely familiar to you guys if you have been staying tuned to the stream. Apart from the top 2, which are Yo Fuzzy 3 and Mark, we do have returning players Bran, Maple Syrup, Naka, Volcroc, Jose LMR, and Now Times. And so, as 6 of our players have already been on stream, we thought it would be nice if we could get those remaining 2 players on for our first top cut stream game.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. So our first match will be between Yo Fuzzy 3 from Australia versus Mark from Australia, and both are playing Rascal Does Not Dream series. Then the second round is Bran playing Quint versus Maple Syrup playing Macros Delta. The third round is Naka playing Bocchi the Rock versus Folkrock playing Nikkei, which is also like a rematch from round 4. Both of them are also very French again.
Oh, right.
And the last round will be Jose playing 7 Deadly Sins versus Now Times playing Quints.
Okay. So it looks like we do have the 2 Quints decks on the opposite side of the bracket. So it is possible that we may see them facing off in the finals. But the other 2 of deck, which is the Bunny Girl deck, those ones are going to be getting into playing each other right now.
One of them won't be making it to the finals. But first things first, what are we playing for?
Right.
What's the prizes?
So the prizes that these players are going to be competing for, well, first of all, since they made top 8, all of them are going to be getting our level 0 Fern Brainstorm foil version with the top 8 stamp. And then the top 4 are going to be using the top 4 are going to be getting the top 4 stamped version. So these are the participation prizes that our players have already gotten just for making it this far. But we do have the top 8 and top 4 versions. This is the supply set that our players also got for participating. And do we have a graphic? Do we have the graphic for the top 8, top 4? Okay, we're working on that right now. And then as for the winner promo, as we detailed at the very beginning of the stream, the winner of this entire event is going to be walking away with that beautiful stamped version, the champion stamped version of the 3-1 event. Magic for creating a field of flowers from Freerun.
Yes, it's a very beautiful card with Freerun on it. We hope to have it displayed on the stream as soon as possible. And also, one of the participation prizes was the name tag.
Oh, right. The name tag that all the players get for qualifying for the tournament. You get like your name on a 0-0 vanilla with Shioko on it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually
also play.
I didn't actually check like the traits or anything, so maybe that'll be relevant. We have seen some Shioko cards historically just randomly be relevant for their traits at various points throughout Weiss Schwarz.
Yeah, I think in this case it was only card game, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Okay. Well, in any case, I think our players are about ready to get into their game. I think they've been waiting for quite a bit, actually. So if we are all ready to head into their game, and these guys can get started. So you were saying that these two players, both from Australia, both very familiar with each other, I presume?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're very familiar with each other. Yo Fuzzy Matt has been pretty... oh, that's the wrong number in his name.
Oh, it's supposed to be a 3.
Yep. He has been...
do I see 2 climaxes in Yo Fuzzy's waiting room and 3 in hand? Did I see that incorrectly? And then also 2 climaxes discarded for Mark?
Yeah, this is going to be a fast game.
Not something that Rascal players are really looking for. Oh, no. So he had 3 and then he discarded 2 for the mulligan. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But without discarding a character here, if Yo Fuzzy has the misfortune of triggering a comeback climax on the first trigger, which thankfully he avoids,
yes,
he would not have been able to salvage any character.
Very fortunate for Yo Fuzzy after being a little bit unfortunate with the amount of climaxes drawn.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully he'll be able to cancel with whatever climaxes are remaining in the deck, and then can use the level 1 climax combo to get the heck out of here, mill through that deck, and try and get into the next deck rotation. So Yo Fuzzy opens here with the 0-0 Futaba Vanilla, just 3k power, no effects.
And 3k is pretty big.
Yeah, it's getting the job done here.
Mm-hmm.
Mark only fielding that level 0 Futaba Climax swap that searches from deck. And Yo Fuzzy is going to be getting rid of that extra Climax in his hand by clocking it. Draws into another 0-0 Vanilla.
Yeah, it sounds like both of the players aren't getting their ideal starts. At the very least, Mark already has a Brainstorm developed at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like Yo Fuzzy also has a Brainstorm in hand, so that's also going to hit the field. And even more Vanilla hitting the board.
Yeah. It's important that you do commit your Brainstorm at a pretty early point when you're playing Bunny Girl, because even though it doesn't have an on-play ability that you could potentially make use of, that on-climax trigger ability is always useful.
Yeah. In this case, I think it's mostly because he has comeback triggers, although he doesn't have anything in Grave anyway, so he wouldn't be able to get anything with the comeback triggers anyway.
Mm-hmm. We will see the Futaba using her On Death ability, which allows you to discard a card as cost to look through the top 4 cards to grab a level 1 or higher card. Going to be grabbing the 2-1 event, the only available option, but also going to level 1 at the same time. Going to be leveling blue here in order to turn on the Sakuta 1-0 stock chargers, and then clocking red for his other color.
I was actually talking to Yo Fuzzy yesterday about this particular matchup, the Bunny Girl Mirror, and he was stressing keeping clean stock very heavily. So that's also probably why we didn't see him commit to a Brainstorm on the second turn, because you would like to Brainstorm because you're out a lot of climaxes. You want to fuel your grave a little, your waiting room a little bit with some characters to grab with the comeback triggers. But I think he just values that one clean stock on the bottom like quite a lot.
Yeah, it's like a foundation, right? Yeah. I'm kind of a similar way, not necessarily about Brainstorms, but about some of the cards that can go to memory. For example, the level 0 Mai that salvages, or the level 1 Mai Reverser that searches. I typically tend to not use those if I don't have to, in order to keep my options open, keep a foundation of stock, and then later on in the game, if I feel that I want to use those to grab specific cards, then I would actively search them out through something like the 2-1 event.
Yeah.
And then go into them.
And if you look at the difference between like the waiting rooms, Yo Fuzzy on the left only has 2 cards sitting there, just the 2 climaxes that he mulliganed. Whereas Mark on the other side has like almost 20 cards already. He's milling fast. He's going through that first deck.
Mark also has a ton of climaxes in his hand, 3 climaxes, And I guess this kind of getting into the same sort of like foundation of stock that we're talking about, where like if you can build the foundation of clean stock, then it's easier on you for paying out climaxes in the future.
So it seems like we're going to be attacking with our climax combo and getting our first memory with level 0 Mai.
A big direct for 4, and then at the end of the attack, the Mai can send herself to memory, which we will probably see right here. Yeah, this is allowing the 1-0 Mai combo to use her effect to trigger twice, and then after triggering twice, the top card of stock will get sent to waiting room.
Checking 3, adding 1, triggering twice, but not finding anything important here.
Yo Fuzzy is also not finding anything.
Nope. But that's kind of what we expect at the moment, right? Because he's already out at least 3 climaxes.
4 climaxes because he had a level 3 climax, which he clocked at level 0.
Right.
I mean, you would think at least 1 climax for a cancel would pop up here, and there we go.
Okay, so that's pretty much the average case scenario here. Taking 2 instances of damage, canceling 1.
Yeah. So from Mark fanning out his waiting room, it looked like he was out 5 climaxes. So in addition to the 2 in hand, that means that there's only 1 climax remaining in that what looks like a 8 or 9 card deck. So we could be seeing quite a bit of damage. In a worst case scenario, Yo Fuzzy could be hitting Mark to level 2 this turn.
Yeah, it does seem like we're going to have a very fast game, although the deck size isn't that big anymore. So 3 climaxes in that deck size? That sounds quite reasonable, I think.
We have the level 0 Mai here on Yo Fuzzy's side as well.
That's definitely going to hit that empty lane.
And then from there, you can send it to memory, turn on the level 1 Mais just like Mark did on his last turn. And then something that we didn't see on Mark's turn because he had 0 stock is that Yo Fuzzy could activate the on-play ability of this Mai, pay 1, clock the top card of your deck, search your deck for a level 1 or lower character, potentially get another copy of the level 1 climax combo.
Yeah, even if he's not planning to use it this turn, he could use it for next turn. But we...
Clocking to top check 3.
This is kind of not what I expected for this turn.
You know,
does he not have the correct climax?
I think those might be double incorrect Is that double incorrect climaxes? Well, I mean, so Yo Fuzzy had 3 climaxes, discarded 2. No, I don't think it's possible for them both to be the incorrect climax because he discarded 2 in Mulligan and clocked 1 away, and then now has 2 climaxes in hand. So out of those 5 climaxes that he has seen in his hand at some point during the game, one of them has to be a level 1 climax.
You would imagine so. And we do see the second clock for himself to search the level 1 combo.
Very interesting line of play.
6. There's also the issue that he still has that climax in his hand that I don't think he has a real good way to get rid of it.
So I remember when looking through our players' decks before the match, one of them does not run the level 0 Shoko that can sacrifice itself to and discard a card to salvage a character. So let's see. I believe it's Yo Fuzzy's deck, right? Does not run that level 0 Shoko, which would, in this kind of situation, could be a potential way to get that extra climax out of hand, although at the cost of a -1. Off of the Brainstorm, we hit 1 and are going to be salvaging the level 0 Futaba.
For the climax swap?
And no, just playing over it. Playing over it, discarding this extra level 3 climax to activate the Futaba's ability, and top check 4 for level 1 or higher. We see level 1 combo. And a decent amount of deck left to go. Yeah, see, there is the level 1 combo in hand. Gonna go all the way. Already has a copy of the 2-1 event in hand, so I don't think you need to grab that. Probably just grab the level 1 combo here.
Yeah, and I think his his deck is pretty much set up to refresh now. So he's gonna refresh at 1/6, or gonna place worse that at least.
Plays down a copy of the Climax combo.
Oh, okay, so he's just using the Summertime Memories the level 0 to go through 3 cards of his deck, maybe.
That's
I think
a pretty
that
high,
was his plan.
That's a pretty high cost to go through 3 cards, I would say.
It is a pretty high cost, but he does end with at 1/6 for perfect clock compression for next deck. So it might be worthwhile here.
YoFuzzy here has decided not to send his Mai to memory. It's not needed for the Climax combo, it's needed for the extra power on attack, which is not necessary here, and the double trigger. So maybe the idea is to try to maintain Climaxes in the rest of this small deck. Oh, wait, no, he has a copy of the Mai, so he doesn't need to send a second copy. He doesn't need to send a second copy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So 1 copy of this Mai has been sent to memory already. You can send a second copy, but at the same time, I have run into games where I just want to leave more copies in rotation in case I need to clock myself to level 3 in the later stages of the game, try to go for like a finisher. We have the comeback trigger here with the twin drive from the 1/0 Mai, allowing YoFuzzy to get an additional card in hand. But what are we looking for? We're eyeing the level 1 Sakuta for extra stock charge. And yeah, as predicted, Mark did end up going to level 2 this turn, although taking a bit more damage than I thought he was going to.
Yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate. Also refreshing, so all the way up to 2/3.
Is that 5 back? I think it's only 5.
Oh. That looks like 6. Or
No, it's 5, yeah. 2 copies of level 1 Climax, 1 copy of the level 3 Climax. So yeah, very fast game. Not the kind of game that Bunny Girl typically wants to be playing. You really need a lot of turns to accumulate that stock that you can spend on sending cards to memory and then subsequently power up your level 3 Mai finisher. So when the game's going this fast, you just don't have enough time to accumulate all those resources and get an optimal end game. And that might end up being the case for both players in this game, where we just see some suboptimal end game boards.
Yeah, but that's also one of the interesting things about Weiss. It's like either when you both high roll or when you both low roll, these kinds of games are like probably one of the most interesting ones.
Mm-hmm. This is where like the real skill is going to come out. You get to see how these players can adapt to these suboptimal situations. Yeah, so 3 climaxes in hand. I think the last card of the deck was a climax that was drawn by Mark on that last turn.
That is exactly not where you want that climax to be. Clocking all the way up to 2/4 already. I do wonder if this is like a consequence of them not having enough discard outlets for their climaxes in their decks. It feels like you mostly only have things that do so on reverse, right? When they get reversed.
Mm-hmm. And then apart from that, the Shoko level 0.
Yeah.
Which is
not in YoFuzzy's list, but is in Mark's list, I believe.
As a one of, I believe? Yeah, 1 copy of the level 0 Shoko. And the only other discard outlets, really, are the 2/1 event, which we might see coming into play. And then also the level 0 Futaba that has been used by both players this game so far. Now, in Mark's list, we also have a couple other interesting cards. Specifically, the yellow level 3s. We have 1 copy of the Nodoka Early Play Heal and 1 copy of the Uzuki Climax Salvager. The Early Play Healer would be a pretty nice card to have right now, but Mark doesn't actually have yellow to legally play it.
Right. He will need to fix that at some point in this game. Mm-hmm. But I do think he has a Brainstorm in hand, so he could fix it at any point in the future turns.
That is a lot of Sakutas in hand.
There's also a lot of climaxes in hand.
Yeah, that is definitely a lot of climaxes. And we're seeing a My combo and then the My Reverser. So this does have that reverser effect where if she gets reversed by a level 1 or lower character, you can reverse that battle opponent, but she's going to be swinging right over this My level 0 and allowing Mark to potentially get a reverse on Yo Fuzzy's character when Yo Fuzzy swings into him. That could be pretty nice for opening up a lane and maybe getting some extra damage on the following turn, but I think Mark's biggest concern right now is how much damage he's taking. We'll see the 1k1 coming out here, the comeback for the level 1. And Yo Fuzzy with 7 out.
It did look like that. So Yo Fuzzy having a little bit, a slightly better compression for this deck, it seems.
Yeah, this could turn on its head though in an instant. With a brand new deck rotation, brings brand new possibilities for how much damage you could eat.
Yeah, for sure. And it might be a good opportunity for Mark next turn to try and mill as many of those climaxes with the finisher already, and kind of cycle to the next deck afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of expensive, right? You have to pay one and discard one for the climax combo. It might be hard to set up the finisher in general because of the memory condition.
I definitely would not be aiming to do it on my next turn, considering that Mark only has 2 cards in memory. 2 additional cards in memory would cost another 2 stock, so you would only realistically have enough stock to play 1 copy of Mai. But he does have 2 Sakutas in hand, so this could become 6 stock rather than 4 in an instant.
Mm-hmm. Yo Fuzzy hitting level 2 off of this one. Off the refresh damage, and then cancelling the attack.
Nice cancel. Where are we going next? I don't feel like the attack order matters too much, so you could probably just attack with the reverser first, and then follow up with the level 1 combo, and choosing your card based on whether or not the opponent canceled that second attack. What are we seeing here? There is a level 3 there's 2 level 3 climaxes.
Oh no, this is not what you want to see as Mark.
And there's a
one.
third level 3 climax. And Yo Fuzzy's got to have taken note of the fact that he declined to grab a level 3 climax off of that top check 3. So he must know that he either had one already or picked one up off the combo, right?
Yeah, for sure. However, it's not like Yo Fuzzy is able to do a finisher based off of this. So it will just be like a lot of soul damage that he's going to be pushing. But it's definitely going to be a lot.
This was a side attack into the level 0 Mai. That's very interesting. Allowing Yo Fuzzy to keep a body on board in exchange for not allowing him to immediately get the memory. So, but the thing is that...
Do you care about the memory for this one?
I don't think so. It doesn't contribute to the 4 or more memory condition of level 3.
Because they need to be different names, right?
Right. And I feel like he basically just gave him something free to attack with this turn. Especially if Yo Fuzzy can play either a climax or trigger a climax. He can gain additional power off of the effect of the Kaede Brainstorm, which would actually buff the level 0 Mai to be over the reverser. And then he is able to get rid of the reverser in that case without having to commit an entirely new body, maybe one that is a better body, right?
Yeah, this is especially perfect right now because Yo Fuzzy doesn't actually have a climax, I think. So he was planning to just kind of attack with bodies anyway. So getting a free body like that, it's perfect.
So cracking this level 0 Mai, when you're at level 2 or higher, you can pay 1, send it standing to memory in order to top check up to 2 and add one of them to your hand. We're seeing the 2-1 event being added. It's a very powerful card that we didn't actually see earlier in our previous Rascal games. Yeah, as you said, we're just going to see some attacks this turn. If we do see climax triggers, we could see some buffs all over the board. I feel like you probably want to attack with the center slot here first because it gives you 2 chances to trigger. And then from there, if you trigger a climax, you can distribute power and look to get over this board.
It does seem like we need 2 triggers to skill over the Sakuta, right?
A single trigger would do fine because he has 2 copies of Kaide in the back.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That would each give 1,000. And then I think he's okay with just tying into the Mai reverser here, 2k to 2k. With
Yeah,
that
this
level
is a
0.
reverser anyway. Doesn't really matter too much.
So attacking here next. And there's the comeback trigger.
Is the climax trigger, yeah.
Grabbing the level 2 assist. And now I think the question is, when you top check with these Kaides for the next 2 cards of your deck, do you leave a clean trigger on top, or do you want to maybe gamble a little bit, mill a little bit further into your deck to potentially get some clean cards, extra clean cards off the top? And Yo Fuzzy, it looks like he is choosing to leave the clean trigger on top.
Right. Yeah, it could matter a little bit based on like how fast you can go through your entire deck. Sometimes you just want to put it in your waiting room. Sometimes you want to keep it there for clean triggers, but in this case, it seems like he went for the clean trigger.
Mm-hmm. And Mark will finally be able to get one of those climaxes out of his hand. There were 3 climaxes in his hand just now. How did another climax get into his hand?
Yeah. It's like a magnetic force here.
Out 4 currently with 2 in hand. And I definitely saw well, we have the level 3 climax that was grabbed off of the combo on the previous turn, but I'm not 100% sure what the other climax in hand is.
There's only 2 climaxes left in the deck. I wonder if he will be able to... Being able to cancel at this position would be huge.
For Yo Fuzzy?
For Mark.
Oh, for Mark. Okay. Oh,
yeah,
with the...
If he cancels this, he will be able to just do another level 1 combo, mill all the way down to 0. Refresh at 2/6. That would be kind of ideal, I think.
It also depends on whether or not Yo Fuzzy hits level 3 on that turn, though, because at 3-0, I would be very afraid of Bunny Girl finisher turn.
Yeah, I agree. It is currently only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stock, 7 stock after this attack. We'll go up with a couple of Sakutas if Yo Fuzzy does have them.
Wait, 7? It'll be 6 stock after the final attack.
6 stock after the final attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Mark does take it, going to level 3. No option for yellow, but we do have a yellow card coming into the clock for level 3. So we'll have access to those level 3 yellow characters if he so chooses. I don't think the Uzuki is going to be very helpful here, considering he already has a copy of the comeback climax in hand. But maybe the Nodoka level 3 could produce a heal.
Yeah, so now we're kind of in a weird spot where we need to push damage, but we also don't want to push him to level 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think going for a finisher is correct here, at least.
If anything, I think you would
We can
play the level... I think you play... if there's not still 2 Sakutas in hand, but in order to keep it in rotation, what you could do is you could play the Sakuta first before paying stock. And that allows you to potentially get another stock if you can find yourself another Sakuta, which we do see here. Grabbing the level 0 Mai, that top checks 2, potentially. That would put Mark at a 4th unique name in memory.
Yeah, that would be something to work towards during this turn. Just making sure your entire memory is set up for when you do end up finishing.
Yeah, the really nice thing about this level 0 is that it's able to send itself to memory during the main phase, whereas some of the other ones, like the level 0 Yellow Mai, the level 1 Reverser, they can only ever send themselves to memory during the attack phase.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, you may have to invest one of your front row slots into attacking with it, even if you have enough resources otherwise to resolve triple of your finisher. That can be quite annoying.
Yeah.
So level 0 Mai is coming down here, and are we going to see it sent to memory?
I'm not sure if he's still digging for something with the level 0 Mai, or if it's just kind of
playing it for the sake of getting the memory.
Yeah.
2-1 Mai. Level assist is going to come down here So in addition to being a level assist, if you play it into a full board of characters, you get to refund 1 stock.
Oh yeah, so that's why sequencing everything else playing more characters before finally using the pay 1 to go to memory effect of the level 0 Mai.
So then you can pay out the whatever you just put into clean stock.
Yeah, and also just for the board conditions, so you can commit more cards later on
Now Mark,
after already generating stock.
now Mark with, I believe, 5 climaxes in waiting room and the remaining 2 in hand, going to be using a brainstorm to try to get through some more cards in the deck. After this brainstorm, 4 cards in deck with should be 1 climax left.
But yeah, he really would have liked to mill one of those climaxes, I think. This is not the best game for Mark.
Playing level 0 Mai, not using the on-play ability, and finally using a 3-2 Mai for the on-play heal. I definitely do not expect him to go for the finisher climax combo this turn.
Yeah, I think he might be hoping that it stays on board. What are good ways to contest this?
So it will be 11-5 on defense thanks to the level assist. There are no counters in this deck, so basically 11-5 is the number that you need to be caring about. The level 2 Mai that can send itself to memory gains 1500 power on attack for each of your opponent's characters, so if it's a full board, then it can go up to 12-5. I actually think it's in Mark's best interest here to
crash something?
Crash. I think it would have been in his best interest to try to crash something into the center slot level 1 Mai, leaving an empty spot on the board and making it so that Yo Fuzzy would not be able to clear that 3-2 Mai with a copy of the 2-1. Just theoretically speaking.
Yeah, I agree. Yo Fuzzy taking 3 already does spell some danger, I think.
Oh, I just realized he actually did play the combo climax because he had a copy of each in hand. But we're going for the combo, so on attack, mill bottom 2, mill bottom 2, burn 2 if there is a climax.
Okay.
I'm really surprised that he decided to go for the combo here.
Yo Fuzzy hitting level 3, so we will definitely be...
What?
Wow.
Alright, interesting.
There
still
was
a
one
climax
more.
left. Okay, if there weren't any climaxes left in the deck, that
could have been lethal out of nowhere.
I feel like that's a big reason why players are so afraid of this deck. It has such high roll potential.
Yeah.
Even though it has very high low roll potential as well, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, especially because of how this climax combo works, right? It's like when you get unlucky by having climaxes on bottom deck, you get even more unlucky. You get super punished for being unlucky at that point.
That's kind of the way it is with all of these kinds of combos that mill from the bottom of the opponent's deck. If you eat a bunch of damage, you're like, okay, it's okay. I have more climaxes incoming in the next few cards of my deck. And then they're like, okay, mill?
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, where'd they go?
Nope.
But thankfully for Yo Fuzzy, he will be able to live another turn here and potentially get a finisher turn of his own. The main thing that I'm worried about is Yo Fuzzy's memory potential. Oh, and another climax off the top.
Yeah. Yo Fuzzy will need to work a little bit for making that last memory, or the last two memory, right?
Yeah. So we know Yo Fuzzy has a copy of the 2-1 event in hand, which is 1 card in memory. It just sends itself when you play it. But then, what about the other cards that could potentially... Was that a 2-1? Did he just draw the 2-1? I think he did. The 2-1 that sends itself to memory to search for either the level 1 or level 2 combo. I'm pretty sure that that card was just drawn.
Yeah, that card would be quite perfect in this situation.
Yeah, so with the amount of stock that Yo Fuzzy has right now, we are in a perfect position to do double combo. With 6 stock, you can pay 2 for the 2 cards in memory, and then you can play double Mai for 4 stock, attack with the 3rd lane, and then do double combo, both of which are going to be at full power.
And then the next breakpoint would be if he plays 2 more success.
You need 3 more, actually.
3 more.
Because you need 2 to play the Mai, and then you actually need to start your attack phase with a stock to use on attack.
Yeah. So most likely it will only be 2 Mais being committed this turn. But first, let's see what he's going to do with the memory condition.
Yep, play the level 2, send it to memory, search for the level 3 Mai, followed up with the 2-1 event, which will salvage the one that just got paid out, presumably. I don't think he actually had a copy in hand already.
What just got paid out?
This is the 3-2 Mai that got searched from the deck. It's just kind of sitting on the board sideways right now before he adds it to hand.
Yeah. But what card was paid for the stock?
Oh, paid out? It was a copy of the combo.
Okay, also another copy. Okay.
Yeah, so Yo Fuzzy will be able to play the 2-1 event to grab that copy of the combo. But first going to pay out 2 stock just to increase the number of potential Mai targets in the waiting room to grab off the event, since it can only grab characters that have Mai in the name.
Might be considering the refresh part of that 2-1 event as well.
Oh, you need
but
so
you do need a lot of climaxes for that, huh?
Yeah, you need 6 or more comeback climaxes already in the waiting room. It is a really strong card, though. I am a really big fan of this card. The draw ditch after the free refresh part of this effect is actually really cool as well, because it makes it so that once you have done the free refresh, the draw discard
are live again.
Exactly. It allows you to put a character into your waiting room to potentially pick up off of a potential trigger, and it makes it so that you're not just hanging dry if you just trigger one.
It is going to be an all or nothing turn for Yo Fuzzy this turn. So, just trying to make sure to make optimal numbers here.
I definitely think this is a perfectly good spot to go for it.
I mean, you definitely go for it, right? There's like no way you're going to survive from 3-5 or 3-4 after he heals.
Yeah, and then we're probably going to see the 2-1 completing the board here, the 2-1 assist. Just like the one Mark played, you do get the refund stock off of playing this into a full board. And we will probably see this moved to the back row behind the 2 copies of Mai, leaving the 2 brainstorms in the back row.
It does seem like he's currently keeping it on front row.
I wonder what would be the reason you would want to do that.
Maybe... No, it's not side attacks, right?
Okay, there we go. Probably just double checking everything. We do have 2 characters in hand that can be discarded as cost. You cannot discard events for the climax combo. So we are all set to go. Going to be attacking with one of the Mais first. And there is a climax waiting on the bottom.
So that's probably perfectly as planned for Yo Fuzzy. He knew that there was a climax on bottom. So, gonna mill that one first. Guarantee that burn 2.
And then with refresh point, he's going to be at minimum 3-1.
Yeah, and 3-1 is like the kind of the perfect number to be at, because that's like a multiple of burn 2s.
Right.
Or it's like a multiple of attacks for 3.
Yeah. And potentially we could also see here, if 2 burn 2s end up sticking, we do have a side attack in the center lane against the level 1 Sakuta.
Yeah.
And then of course the Kaede is just going to be fronting for 2, so it's just... You have a lot of 2s. So here's going to be the first burn 2. We're going to mill...
2 sticks.
Mill 2 from the bottom.
Twice more.
2 more times. There's a miss. And one
Another
more
miss.
So that is giving Mark hope that the remaining climaxes in the deck are on the top. Oh, we see a comeback trigger here, which will proc the effect of the 2-1 Mai to top check. Did he just put a card on the bottom? I think he just put a... So the 2-1 Mai says when you trigger a comeback trigger and you have 2 or more unique names in memory, you get to look at the top card of your opponent's deck and either leave it on top or send it to the bottom. And I'm pretty sure he just sent one straight to the bottom. Yup. Burn 2. A cancel. Can we see more clean mills off the bottom? No? Another cancel? No, that's going to be it for Yo Fuzzy.
And that is the first top 8 game. Yo Fuzzy heading over to top 4.
2-1 Mai is definitely a really, really strong card. between that and the level 0 Kaide Brainstorm, you get a lot of information about the top cards of both players' decks every time you trigger a Climax, which is really good. And then as we saw here, not only does bottom decking that Climax mean that it's out of the way for the current attack that's going through, it also means that on any future attack where you use the 3-2 combo, that Climax is just on the bottom ready to get milled.
Yeah, definitely a very strong effect in combination with the level 3 finisher. And also managing to close out the game exactly with that specific interaction.
Yeah, it's definitely the combination of those two cards. I feel like it's adding insult to injury. It's like you look and you're like, wow, there's a Climax on top. Let's just put this on the bottom. By the way, mill it.
Yeah.
It's definitely like whenever you're playing against a Bunny Girl Senpai deck, the last thing you want to see them do is just look at it and just put it on the bottom. You're just like, oh no.
No, not like this.
Yeah, here it comes.
I could have cancelled with this card if only you didn't trigger.
So between the two decks, we did see some differences in terms of ratios. Something that we actually did not see here from either side is their level 3 Kaide early plays.
Yeah.
So between the two players, YoFuzzy was running 3 copies, while Mark was running 1, but also running a couple yellow level 3s. So
yeah. I think most of the times these kinds of early plays are usually just there to bridge between like level 2 when games are a little bit close.
Just kind of like a filler.
Yeah,
I need to play a dude, and I might as well heal 1 while I do it.
Yeah, and push for 2 soul as well. That's also very important. And it's basically more for the slower kind of games. And this was definitely not one of the slower ones.
Yeah, we saw, I think like both players had 3 or more Climaxes in their hand at some point during the game, and just slamming them every single turn, trying to get them out of their hand while simultaneously using their resources to make these Climax slams efficient. Try to get into like more copies of level 1 combo and things like that.
Yeah. At the very least, they didn't run out of resources at any time. So it was just like basically just trying to get rid of those Climaxes, basically. Just getting good compression. And it seems like on YoFuzzy side, it all went very well. He managed to refresh with 7 Climaxes in his first deck. And on Mark's side, it was like 5 in his first deck.
Right.
And then trying to kind of manage from there.
Yeah, the big problem between the two players was in YoFuzzy's deck, we actually saw a lot of Climaxes out very early. So he had a lot of time to get any additional ones out of his hand, whereas not only did Mark draw a bunch of Climaxes the turn before he was about to refresh, but he also drew a Climax off the bottom of the deck as he refreshed. So he went from 3 to 2 back to 3, and he had basically no time to react, while YoFuzzy had played a Climax prior to his level 1 turn, also clocked 1, I believe. So it was a difference in timings where one of them was a lot less fortunate than the other.
Yeah, but I think also one of the things YoFuzzy did was like the fact that he did not commit to the brainstorm on this on a second turn. I think that was actually very important for making sure that all of his Climaxes are engraved before he finally reaches his first refresh. So it kind of changed the pace of the game on his side, and it kind of on the other side it was like Mark did commit to that brainstorm, and he did get into a situation where he couldn't get rid of all of the Climaxes before he was actually ready to refresh.
Because he just went through the deck so much already.
Yeah, he actually went through his deck too fast, it seemed. So that's kind of interesting because like you kind of don't want to be staying in the first deck where you know your compression is really bad, but also it's setting up for your next deck, right?
Yeah, it's the kind of gamble that I feel like every Weiss player just comes across this like constantly. It's like, well, I'm out of bunch, so should I just try to get the heck out of here right now, or do I want to gamble on trying to play with what's still left in my deck? And so we kind of saw the difference between the two here, I feel. Okay, and are we just going into our next trivia question, I think? I don't believe we're going to be doing interviews for top 8.